Well, hello again. It is once again Void Signal. I am Brian Prime, and this week's episode is a discussion with Jake Desrochers, better known for his darkwave industrial project, Holy Water. His latest album, Contrast, is one of the most solid album releases of the year and should delight fans of Nine Inch Nails or Depeche Mode. But it was a struggle to choose just one song as an intro for this episode because the songs are so diverse and dip into a variety of sounds and genres. My first experience with Holy Water was opening for Boot Blacks. It was a splendid performance, and I made a note to follow along. But it wasn't until seeing the latest iteration of Jake's onstage performance in July of 2025 that I gained a new appreciation for the authenticity that exudes from him. It comes across in all of his work. His stage show is a raw, energy-filled experience that leaves the crowd invigorated, bonded, and rejuvenated. An experience was shared, and everyone is enriched. Jake is also just a super chill person. His kids were running his merch table when I caught him open for Matt Black in Sacramento. And at the most recent show, I got to meet his lovely and proud mother. Enjoy this chat with Jake and find more Holy Water anywhere music exists. Void Signal intro remix for this episode is courtesy of Mortal Realm. Check out Adam's latest single, Rot and Decompose, on the streaming platform of your choice. And of course, my thanks as always to Johan from Processor for making Void Signal's intro. Find Processor and Mortal Realm anywhere music exists. Oh, one last thing. Void Signal is still ad-free and powered by people. So if you've enjoyed an episode, please consider visiting voidsignal.net or patreon.com/voidsignal and send me some dollars if you had a good time. It goes a long way towards keeping Void Signal alive. I appreciate your consideration, as always. It's a pleasure to be your host. Okay, our time is at an end again. Enjoy the chat with Jake, and I will make another Void Signal just for you very soon. Fight the good fight, but stay safe, stay loud, and take care out there. Go ahead and start. I just want to go ahead and kind of give my own little intro for you, and then I'll hit you with the first question and everything. But so just kind of quick background. I caught you performing opening for Boot Blacks in San Francisco some years ago. And I recall being like, okay, this is a band I need to follow and keep an eye on. And had the opportunity to see you again this year in Las Vegas playing with Dark Cheesemate, and just blew my fucking mind. You were just incredible. And I was like, okay, there was a reason that I was paying attention. And your new album has just come out. I've managed to catch you 3 times now, twice this year, and you deliver a fantastic performance every time. And you always have heartfelt and thoughtful things to say to the crowd, and you put forth a lot of effort to try and engage people no matter where they're at. So this is a huge privilege and honor to me to have you on. So yeah, thank you so much for making this work.
Of course. No, thank you for the wonderful compliments. That's great. Compliments are hard, because you want to be like, yeah, that's right. Because I do work hard to try to convey that message, but it's also kind of like part of my DNA as an artist to help let people in and help get some connection there. So the fact that you recognize that and it hit home with you, I think that's just the most wonderful compliment I can receive. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. And it was, after catching your performance in Vegas, my manager was like, you should change his name to Holy Shit, because he just came out and just put on an incredible performance in a night with other incredible performances, because Dark Cheesemate is the jam.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I want to go ahead and kind of get this started, but how are things going for you? Like, the album just came out about a week or so ago now. It's fantastic. I love it. I've been listening to it a lot. Tasted Tears, Wasted Time has become a favorite amongst so many others. But how have things been so far since it has come out?
I mean, it's been great. There's so much that leads up to releasing an album. This one is really near and dear to my heart because I did everything myself, every note. Basically, I did go and have it like polished up a little bit with my friend Sean from Crosses. He's got a great studio down in LA. And so we helped, just like mix it, master it a little bit, but we didn't do any recording. That was just to kind of make it pop. And so it was really great going into it. And over the last 6 months or so when I've been writing, and some of them even go further back than that, I've gotten a little bit better at it. And, hunting and pecking my way through things and revisiting them. And I try not to get too clogged up in the creative process. Like I like a song to kind of come together pretty quickly and pretty naturally, at least the chord changes and the nucleus and what it's about. And I'll get the beat going. And then I go for a run. Like most mornings, I get up at like 5 or 6 a.m. I like it when it's quiet, like early morning. And the second half of my run, I'll walk. And so I just kind of like step to the beat and like go over lyrics and kind of think about things. And I'll always be out somewhere in like open space. There's some like farmland kind of near where I live where I'll go out there. And it just helps me open up my mind and get in touch with what I'm trying to say and having a meaning. But it's been going really good. It's just a lot of different mini pieces that kind of gets funneled down into this work. And I wanted to do an album. I wanted to do a full album. I wanted it to have kind of a meaning and all the songs to be like start to finish like a song, like something that you can like latch onto, like with some hooks and expose a little bit of the songwriting element to it. I do love a lot of sound design and making things sound weird, but I also wanted to be accessible for the listener so they could lock in with what I was trying to lay down. And so far the response has been great. It's funny. A lot of people liked the Tasted Tears, Wasted Years, Wasted Time song because, I don't know, but I've gotten a lot of good feedback from that one as well. I think I dropped that as a single before it came out. And so maybe people have just had a little bit longer to listen to it or whatever. But it was one of those ones that came together pretty quickly.
Just to kind of speak to that really quickly as somebody who was affected by it and touched by what it had to say, I think at least for me, and I'm going to make assumptions about your audience maybe, but I feel like we are living in, and you embody this sentiment in some of what you say during your live show as well, but we're living in a time of maybe second chances of like it is not too late to reinvent yourself or rediscover yourself or get back in touch with sort of who you are. And sometimes that can be with the benefit or shared with another person. And at least for me, it definitely sort of spoke to that sort of a sentiment and ideal. Yeah, I think it's wonderfully crafted. And I'm a big lyrics guy. So I'm like easily sucked in by like something that sounds good or something that says words in such a way that they're thought provoking to me.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I wanted to write a love song. I hate writing love songs because I went through so many like failed relationships. I like didn't want to sing about it again or have it live in a world, but I'm pretty sure I'm with a woman that's gonna stick and I love her. And I wanted to write a love song that's kind of like my relationship with my kids or like with music, this undying thing. And the title led me to it. And it's funny because it kind of comes from this story. I played this acoustic show with Steve Soto from the, I come from like punk rock and hardcore music. And so, I don't know, 15 years ago, I was doing a lot of acoustic shows because my band was like living in different places. It was just hard to tour. And I just loved to play gigs anyway. I was just picking up these kind of singer-songwriter gigs. And I played with Steve Soto from the Adolescents. I was singing my set list. One was called Promises, and it was about, getting married and I promise you and I'll be around forever. And then the next song was called, I don't know, fuck you, or I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a leaving song. It was like, I'm out of here, I'll be fine kind of thing. And so I played them back to back. I didn't write the set list that way, but when I was looking down, I was like, oh, great. Like, and I was just coming through this divorce. It's like just over when I played this show. So I was like talking about them all. Here's a song that didn't work out, and then right after that, I started laughing. I'm like, well, here's the song I wrote, Getting Out of It, and so I was just kind of having fun with it. And anyway, Steve Soto went on and he was like, I dedicate this song to Jake, and it's called I Want My 5 Years Back. And I just started laughing and I just thought that was great. A lot of the things we regret are the expectations, the time we put in. And that's the hardest thing to get over. You don't want to like be with this person. You can't look ahead you can look back at any past relationship and go, oh yeah, that wouldn't have never worked out. Once you're away from it for a while, you'll see the where the rubber hits the road per se. But when you're in it, it's hard to admit that to yourself, that you've wasted your time, that these tears were just good for nothing. And so it kind of had a nice ring to it. But now coming through that, I wanted to give it a little resolution where I am committed, and there's nothing I wouldn't do for you. And that kind of love, that kind of trust, where it's not always fun, it's not always easy. And you're right, it is a second chance. Like both me and my wife have both been in pretty gnarly relationships. We have kids from different people, and we're co-parenting, and we both come from pretty colorful backgrounds. Back in the day, the scene, rock and rollin', partying, like all that stuff was really fun and stuff, but there was also some really dangerous, some really crazy situations you'd find yourself in. Like I wasn't far from jail time or an overdose or watching, I've had friends that didn't make it out, and looking back at that and relationships and how they suffered just through that, and how you're kind of trauma bonded. If you're a punk rock kid in the 90s and you meet another punk rock kid in the 90s, you kind of team up and you take on the world together. I mean, I had a couple kids with one, and it's like, and so did she. So we didn't survive as a relationship, but our kids did. And we were able to band together out of commitment and out of lock into this subculture that supported us and was always safe, and punk rock music and the scene. And it's very similar and very adjacent to like the goth scene and stuff. Like everybody's safe there, all the gay kids in high school and all the kids off to the left. And if you didn't have to wear all black, you didn't have to sign up for a certain thing. Everybody hung out together that was off to the left, because we weren't the status quo. And in that scene, you trust that and you kind of commit yourself to it. So with relationships, like I've been cheated on. I mean, I don't know where I left off, but that song's about relationship. Yeah. Well, and you lock in, they're loyal to you, you're loyal to it. And you can carry that commitment to your community, to your people, and to relationships, and to parenthood, and to work. Like I didn't know that being religious was going to give me work ethic and team building and humility and respect, and kind of eviscerate any kind of classism or racism or sexism or anything that I had. You had to get along. So I've learned how to pivot emotionally and socially because I've been part of a community that was welcoming. Everybody that came in, you accepted and you trusted that. And if you can just apply that to anything else, I just think that's a really beautiful thing. And I'm proud to be part of a culture that represents that and is free thinking and allows people in. And so, yeah, I mean, and for me, it's what I lean into when times do get tough. Even though, I was going through a crazy breakup or something, or even when you're having tough times with your current relationship, you always have that sense of community and you can rely on and kind of share that with them and hang in there with them and be more accepting of other people's stuff.
Yeah, agree. So and connecting to, just real quick on that note, like I just have to say that like connecting with community is important, maybe now more than ever before. And it affords so much in terms of companionship and just the opportunity to meet people who may be sharing a similar experience to your own, and just being able to sort of commiserate that in a moment, I feel is important. And you can meet wonderful people. You can meet someone who turns out to be your best friend or turns out to be an absolute treasure of a person.
Yeah. And it's just like, and we need each other. That's human instinct. Raising your kids is like human instinct. If we were both on a desert island, Brian, we would need each other to get the fuck off there. We would get along. We'd figure, because we have to survive together. And the further away two people are, the worse it gets. And now it's so polarizing between politically and socially and things, and everybody's sitting on their computer like miles and miles away from someone. It's like sometimes if you were just to get together, you'd realize that these people have thoughts and feelings and ups and downs, and they're wrong or they're right or whatever. It's not as inhuman to be human. And I don't know. I mean, that's kind of a broad stroke. I mean, that song was more about relationships and what we're willing to do for them when you have found that right person, and you also know how much garbage you can bring into a relationship and how destructive that can be, and trying to like unload some of that before you blow up your own spot within a relationship. Like I just tend to, a lot of my old bad habits and fears and insecurities come out when I feel vulnerable, when I feel love. So it's hard to not reflect that. And then just, so songs for me are the things I'm afraid to say out loud. If I don't want to talk about it, that means it's going to be a good fucking song, because it's something I'm thinking, it's feeling, and I want to share that with people. So they go, like someone like you goes, yeah, I can relate to that. I'm like, great, I'm not the only one. It's like my own private, reality TV show or something. I'm like, okay, I'm not the only one that feels this way, naked and vulnerable and scared and all these things that I'm afraid to admit. But that's the juice, that's what binds us. And I don't know. I'm happy to sing about that.
Yeah,
But
no.
I'm glad you caught on to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a thing that has sort of drawn me to music for much of my life, honestly, as a sort of soft, emotional man as I am. And Nine Inch Nails was like a way to let out aggression, but also have these moments of vulnerability that say things that are we don't say out loud. And it's what has drawn me to bands like Health or V&V Nation or yourself, as just a voice that says the things out loud that we have inside. And I'm always drawn to that in lyrics. I like poetry a little, like not too much, but for the same reasons.
Yeah, but with music, and you can add in some. It's funny you mention those bands because it's such a soundscape. There's the sound that makes you feel a certain way, and then there's the lyrics that make you feel a certain way, and you kind of combine them. It's this almost wildly aggressive sound, but with these really open and fragile lyrics. And someone talking about that, singing about that, gives them a voice that so many people want to hear, but no one wants to talk about. It's like, who wants to admit that they're freaked out about their current state of affairs and stuff? And that's just a wonderful thing about music. I'm glad you use those references, like Nine Inch Nails, like, as an artist and just as someone to watch. Like I didn't even go see him on this last tour because like now that I'm making music in that vein, I don't even want to see it because it's so good that I'm just going to be like, I never want to write music again. I will go, maybe I'll maybe go in a few years when I'm a little further up the ladder, or like if I could be an opening act, like if I don't think I ever will, but what I'm saying is if I'm at that level where I might be considered for that I could actually listen to that, because when I go to a show, I'm not just a fucking spectator. I assimilate it. I listen. It's just one of those bands. Yeah. Or just absorb myself into it. And I'm not trying to assimilate or try to, copy it or judge it. I just go and I like to feel it. I like to be close to it. I'm like, oh my God, that would be great to be up there sharing it. I just saw AFI the other night and I was just like, God, I forgot how much I love that fucking band. Like for years and years and years, like 25, 30 years. I went to high school with their bass player and I've seen their whole career, and it's just how honest and awesome and rocking and emotional and amazing they are. I was just like, it was just cool to see that kind of stuff. And I'm close to that. I'm close enough to it that I can go watch and appreciate it. I'm not in competition with it. Of course, I would love to share the stage with them and stuff like that. It's just Nine Inch Nails is like a little further out of reach right now. They're just so incredible to see that. But I'm going to go. They're coming in March. I'm just going to go and sit there and be a spectator. Like my wife's always like, just sit there and fucking enjoy it. You don't have to get something out of it when you go to a show. And I'm like, I'm not trying to like get something out of it. Like, Cruel World, I went and was like, there's so much great stuff. I didn't know what to do. And I have to stand there all day and be in this sea of people. I just felt like I would have loved to have been playing, and not in a way like I deserve it. It's so hard to explain that without sounding like a total cocky ass hat. I just want to share that experience and get my thing out around people and feel what it feels like to be. The more people that are there understanding, the more connection you have. And it's just you always want more of that. And I could give a fuck about rock star stuff or making money or any of that. For me, it's all about a feeling and that shared feeling and how great it feels on stage to connect with people. That's why I'm always desperately trying to get them to pay attention. Like, oh, you're not watching? All right, I got something for you. Now you're going to fucking watch. Like, it's not watch me, like check me out and praise or whatever. I don't give a fuck if you buy the t-shirt. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is that it hits you in a spot emotionally. You're not just watching, like it hits you a little bit, like you're thinking about it. That's all I care about. is that it connects with you on some sort of other level besides like a rock band playing up there. You know, punk rock and hardcore, it's like, please watch, and I'm screaming and yelling and going crazy, and it's easy to dish out anger. Like, it's not that vulnerable. But when you're saying something, you're talking about fear and you're talking about love and you're putting that out there, and then you have to write a soundtrack to that draws people in. It's such more of a repetitive, meditative thing. You got to kind of lay down and draw them in slowly. And it's just been great. And with electronic music, you have so many different levels that you can tap into to create something like that. I mean, it's like classical music. Like, why does one classical song make you want to go to war and the next one makes you want to cry and take a bath or something? You know, and those are just notes. Those are just scales. Those are just like time honored chord progressions that makes the human psyche feel a certain way. And to me, that's fascinating. And I want to be able to write something that affects someone emotionally, and if anything, and the accolades of music and rock stardom and all that stuff, it's great, but that's not what's in it for me. Like, for me, it's just sharing that and having that opportunity to, because that's when I feel alive, is when I'm so in the moment up there. And it's such a great feeling. And it's not about attention. I was trying to explain that to my sister-in-law. She went, you must love attention. I'm like, actually, I hate attention. I don't need to prove myself to fucking anybody. What I want to do is share this quiet truth. I'm nosy. I'm interested in your life. You're like a documentary, like, what happened in your divorce? You know, I want to know because I can relate to it. It's not that I want to be entertained. It's because I want to fucking relate. So I don't feel fucking alone, that I'm freaked out and, you know, my heart hurts too. You know, that's all it is. And it's just hard to explain that to people, but music's a great way to bridge that connection emotionally with people.
Sure. Absolutely. And it's a thing that not to sound too full of myself, but I can appreciate that about you, because I feel similarly about Void Signal, is that like it's afforded me the chance to go do it in person and things like that at festivals and things. And that's wonderful. That's great. But like what matters to me and the things that stick out the most are, you know, the person who was like, oh, I attended your trivia panel at Dark Force Fest and I came here alone and you put me on a team with people I didn't know and we hung out the rest of the festival, and we are hanging out today, and that person wanted to just get a photo with me for whatever reason. That means way more to me than getting praise or like, oh, I got this many downloads or whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I'm much more interested in it affected a person, a human for a moment, maybe felt like they were close to me when I wanted someone to be close with, and I've experienced that. And I think that's definitely part of what stood out to me about your shows and your performances was that you did take the time to try and say some words, right? Like, you're opening, or maybe there are people there for you, but you still have this crowd of strangers, and we've only got a few minutes here, but I'm going to try and impart something important that might touch you in a way that you need it to right now.
Every show, dude, honestly, I'm not going to say anything because it can go sideways. You know, I'll start making jokes when I'm nervous. When I'm confident, when I feel good, when it's my little house up there, I will share. And that's when I don't mind talking. And sometimes, like, I hate being told what to do on such a cellular level that I'll rebel against my own advice. Like, I'm not going to talk tonight, and that'll make me want to say something. I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. You know, I'm going to say something. Or I'm just feeling it. Like, I don't think it through. Once in a while, I'll be on like one of my walks and I'll be like, oh, okay, that would be great. You know, but sometimes I just want to talk about what the song's about or what's going on, or I don't even know. I don't plan it out. Sometimes it just comes out. Sometimes it's kind of cool, but thanks for saying that. Sometimes it feels really awkward. And I always say shit that people don't really applaud. Sometimes I talk about being sober and they clap. I'm like, don't fucking clap. I should have done it 10 years before. Like, I don't get a reward for doing the right thing. I'm not doing the world some great service. I needed to. I was miserable. And I don't know. It's just kind of funny. Like, I'm not trying to teach anybody anything. I don't care. I want to just share my experience and hope that it hits and make it sound good. As long as I'm telling the truth and the sound quality is good, then I've done my fucking job. If you like it, great. If you don't, fucking great. I don't care. What I care about is what I'm up there to do, and that's to put on it, to put out what I'm trying to do in its most honorable form. I mean, there's a bit of a show, but I try not to like preconceive that. different nights or different things. And I just love being up there so much. It's going to be something each time. But I'm glad you said that, because sometimes I feel weird about talking to it. And, I even make jokes about, okay, this isn't going to be really like gothy or whatever, because I'm not all spooky and haunting and talking about ghosts and death and all this shit, or whatever kind of metaphysical horseshit some people just say because it sounds great and spooky. But if I talk about something spooky, it's just like, why does that, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Those are things that are easier to talk about, something that someone else did. I want to talk about something that I feel, that you might feel, and that will clue you in to draw you in a little bit so we can share this thing. It's not my time up there. It's our time together. And this song, this next one, I'll say that a lot. Like, I want to play this one like it's the last song I'm ever going to play. This is a song about pain. This is a song about the kind of pain that makes you feel alive. Like when you almost feel good for a second when you get hurt, if that makes any sense, because it takes your head out of whatever awkward emotion you're having. That's why people cut themselves. That's why people fucking drink themselves to death, because sometimes that pain is so much easier to lock into than some awkward gray area in between love and loss and death and life. It's like pain is fucking right there, right in the front. And if that's what it takes to wake you up to life, then fuck it, like sing about it. Let's do it. Let's scream. So that's, it's just an emotion that you're just trying to get across. And I'm not trying to be heavy or weird or too much, but that's basically what it is. Like, I'm a vibe person. So I want to share that because I pick up on other people's and I like to share that energy, whatever I'm feeling and what this song's about. I want to be able to share that because that's what inspired me to write it. So you're here, you might as well listen, and I'm going to try to lay it down so you'll actually feel it. If you don't, that's fine too. I got to do my thing no matter what.
Yeah, no, agree. And I'm definitely a vibe person myself. And I always sort of try to write anything that or anytime I'm going to like be speaking in front of an audience or in public or anything, like even if it's just simple words to convey a simple message, I try to like, and in the back of my mind is that little like, make it somewhat impactful, like maybe phrase it in a way that's vague enough that someone because everybody has their own narratives, everybody has their own lives they're living out.
Yeah.
And we don't know what people have to go home and face each day. So if this is the only time they hear your voice and you say this thing that maybe it fucking matters, maybe it's the reason they get up tomorrow and whatever.
Yeah.
But just being able to convey a couple of words that maybe matters to somebody is important to me. And so no words lost or out of place, I guess, is kind of a feeling I get.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even if you're just winging it, it's still, you never know. Because then there's the truth that you think about, that you want to say. And then there's the truth that just comes out, like those things where you say something out loud and you're like, oh my God, I really mean that. And when you're peppering the world with all this bullshit just to get through your day, and then you say something meaningful, you kind of want to share that with someone. You kind of want to like let them know that truth when you get to that. And that's, for me, it's so hard for me to find that actual truth and really talk about how I feel, because it's covered with so many other emotions that I've used. I grew up with boxing gloves on, verbal boxing gloves. I just was real combative and always felt I had to defend myself, and bringing that in as an adult, it's like not everybody's trying to do that, and learning how to kind of like not let that be. But then, I mean, I'm not going to get like taken advantage of if I don't say anything, if I don't fight back. I could just like listen and then maybe reinterpret it. So having to share that feeling and listen more has been so helpful. But occasionally I'll just be like blah 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 and something will come out that I'm like, oh my God, that's honest, like fuck, that's really truly how I feel. And I don't know if we get an opportunity to share that very often as human beings in this world. Like, do we really share, like, I don't know, like our Facebook status? Is that really how we fucking feel right now? Or I don't even change that shit. I don't even know what it says. So, but how are you supposed to describe that? How are you supposed to translate that? We're all walking around with thoughts and feelings. So I'm not sure. It's tricky, but when the truth kind of like bleeds out, I feel like it's, like you said, it's your duty as a speaker, as a performer, as an artist, whatever. If you got the mic, say something that matters. I think that's a wonderful way to put it, because you owe it to them for being there as an audience or whatever.
Yeah, because people's time is short and valuable. It is the one commodity we don't get back once it is spent. And so anytime anybody bothers to take 30 seconds to hear my voice or my show, like, but thank you. You don't have to do that. And so I'm appreciative of any amount of time I ever get. And it sounds like that's a sentiment that you definitely.
Oh, share. I do. I mean, I listen to podcasts all the time. I mean, I hardly even listen to music, really. I do, but like, and it's great. And but I don't know if I never even thought about it that way. Like, these guys would probably be stoked to hear that I think it's great. I listen, it's fun to hear someone else jibber jaw about random World War II fucking whatever shit I'm listening to. It's just like, oh, okay. It's just interesting to hear people's story. I cut hair for a living. I have a salon with my wife, and that's like one of my favorite things to do is just chat with one of my clients and get to know them and hear their story. And I mean, I guess maybe it's to kill boredom or whatever, but everybody's got a little something to say, and like, you just talk about whatever and you hear just really, I don't know, it just reminds you that life's important to people. They love to talk about themselves, but not in a way like, check me out. It's just like sharing what they're doing, because it is so interesting,
Yeah.
And you get so much value from that. And it can be draining if someone's going through something. The other day I was running late. My mom is like moving in for a couple months, just going to come stay with me so she can be around my kids. And it's the first time she's lived with me since I was like 17 or 18. And so I'm nervous. I'm redoing the house. Everything's getting clean. I've been like really prickly and like kind of a dick, honestly, because I'm stressed out and I want everything to be perfect. And my wife's, oh my God. And anyway, so I have to go work, and I have this full day at the salon, and I was busy and I was running late, and I had a couple people stacked up, and a woman came in for her haircut at the end of a really long shift. She's a surgeon, head of surgery for a children's hospital. And she comes in and she's like, dude, you're like a half an hour late. And I'm like standing there in front of a client that's right in front of her. And I'm like, yeah, I am, sorry, I can reschedule you. She's like, I don't have time to reschedule, dude. In the 20 years I've been seeing you, you've never been this late. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm really sorry. Do you want to show up? I just had a really bad day. I'm like, so did I. And I kind of just like stonewalled her like that. And anyway, tears started coming down her face. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. And I'm like, and I started to go in with this whole spiel like, okay, my mom's moving in. I had a bad day. My wife's up my ass. And then I just thought about it. Like, she's a fucking surgeon for children. What was her bad day like? How fucking dare I complain about or make an excuse for my behavior being a little snappy? No, I don't like being like time bullied at my own salon. Like, people run behind, you're a doctor of all fucking professions. You should understand people wait for quite some time to see you. So, but I wasn't going to do that. And I just gave her a hug and said I was sorry. And like, she didn't even want to get into what she went through, but she's like, I'm not saying my job is more important and hard, but if I'm saying it's a hard day, like, I've never said that to you, just know that it's a really fucking hard day. And I was like, I didn't know what to say besides like, thank you for your service, like some vet, but it clued me into this thing. Like, her time with me was supposed to be to cap off this day. And what she had done was a surgery, and it was successful. She just wanted to go home and just freak out because it was so sketchy. It was like heart surgery on an infant. And like, fuck, dude, you can't drop the ball. It could go either way. And the pressure and all that, I just thought about that. And here I am, running a little late for her haircut. I could have just told her I was running behind or texted her, and we just didn't communicate. Usually she's pretty chill and comes in the afternoon, but we moved it to the end of the day. And it was just like, she just wanted to get the fuck home. And anyway, it was just one of those things. But my job and clues me into that vital part of life, like being able to relate to one another. If you don't hang out and find out, like, your life ain't that bad. You can't scale your own emotions unless you have other people around you. And I'm not saying one person's pain is worse than the others, but you also need to keep it in perspective sometimes, because you never know who is hurting or what they've gone through or who they've helped or whatever that thing is, So it's really important for me to remember that and remember life and that humility, and what a great gift it is to be able to share like my time with people. And there's, like you said, and that's kind of an honor in a way. And I don't know, that just really, really affected me.
Yeah.
And we're cool and everything worked out. But those little things, like that's a song, not knowing the pain that someone is in. And like, no one has a patent on pain.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And I mean, that's absolutely true. I mean, that's a thing that I believe as well. And that, people are emotional balloons, and they are going through daily stresses that are giving it a little puff here and there. But like, you don't know how full anybody is. And sometimes you can accidentally be the pinprick that causes them to explode. And it may have nothing to do with you. It may have everything to do with just everything else. And, I've had moments where, after doing my panel for the first time, like I had to go be alone and like have a cry and like just let it out. Not because I was upset or anything, but just like that emotional release had to have a physical component. And
100%.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's a thing that you have experienced doing performances.
Oh, dude. Dude, after a show, like I load my shit. Well, always I have to get off the stage, but I always go outside or sit in my car for a little bit because I can't do, if they're nice and that was amazing, great. But any kind of criticism when I'm walking off a stage full of adrenaline and whatever fucking hellfire I've stirred up in myself to kind of dish it out, I always lay in some really heavy song at the end. And I'm just like, every bit of fucking shit I have in me just wants to come out. And I'm just going to like let them have it at the end and just leave them with something and that, this is it. And so I need a minute so that I don't I'm just not this emotionally volatile, whatever. I have zero control of what's going to come out of my mouth most of the time. But right when I walk off stage, I always have to cool down for a minute and get back to the real world. Because what's up there, that's different. As soon as you walk off, you got to go back to being a normal person again, and there's a catharsis there. Yes. And they're supposed to be. And that's what the stage is for. That's what makes great actors, but you're not who you are on stage. That's what you do. Who you are is how you treat people and stuff. So you don't want to come out acting like Mr. fucking rock star or whatever. That just like when you start to believe you are what you do, that's a really slippery slope. And that's when people don't believe you anymore because you're just this weird caricature of yourself. And I never want to be that. I never want to be that, oh, he's Jake from Holy Water or this or that or whatever. I just want to be someone like that. Their art is part of who they are, but there's an honor for the craft there. And then there's a real person behind that. Trent Reznor and the few interviews he's done, he's always very humble and always really cool and always very thoughtful in what he says. And most artists that I really like always come off very real and very humble. And it comes from a spot. The confidence and the surge of power that comes on stage. That's what you're supposed to do, is just dive into everything that you've done and like display it at full force. And then as soon as you walk off, it's time to drop that shit and get back down to earth again. And sometimes that transition takes a little bit of time. For me, it does. So I've said shitty things before when someone's been critical of a set, not in this band, but in my old band and stuff. And that might have something to do with like drugs and alcohol and having a bad set or something too, like, or I knew it sucked or something, or I was up there with someone in my band was sucking and that pissed me off because they're not taking it as seriously as I believe they should have. And, that's a whole other thing, other people's shit. I mean, that's usually my biggest trigger for anger and for fear is other people and what they will or won't do,
Sure.
that I may or may not do. Like letting grown-ups be grown-ups is really hard for me sometimes.
Yeah. And there is something to be said for like just the bad timing of things, especially if it's like if you've been drinking, like in vino veritas is the phrase. In wine there is truth. Sometimes somebody might catch you on a bad day when you've had a couple of sips of some special lubricant and maybe something slips out. So.
Oh, dude, like I'm sober, so like if I have to go to one of these awkward dinner parties or one of my clients' like birthday parties where I don't know anybody and I'm weird and I talk a lot and I have like rock and roll. So I don't know. I always end up saying shit that like I'm not the normal fucking person. I can only talk about golf or the 49ers for a little while before I'm just like, this is boring. But I always go to like usually end up chatting with women, like a group of them and that have had a little wine and it gets more interesting because there's stories there, there's drama there, there's conjecture. They're talking about things that no one's going to do anything about. So it kind of doesn't matter. It's like People magazine, but in real life. and I can get into that, as long as I don't start offering my opinion on what someone should or shouldn't do. I love hearing other people's.
Yeah, I agree.
If couples are fighting or something, like I'll follow them around the grocery store. I just want to hear like what they're saying, like how interesting that is to me. Because not just to be some weirdo, but that's when that truth comes out, and it's important. Like I love people that it flip out because A, it's not me, and B, I trust emotion. Like I don't trust someone gives a shit unless they're willing to flip out about it a little bit. And I know that's really sad, and that's not a qualifier for me because quiet people fucking can do some crazy shit too. They just keep their fucking mouth shut, and that's even scarier. The quiet ones can get away with shit, and especially like in alcoholism and stuff and in sobriety and recovery, like I've learned a lot about that. Like I'll be in meetings and stuff with people that were like the quiet drunk. They quietly drank 20 beers for 12 years straight a day and held their job down and kept their mouth shut. They were just fucking buzzed at their kid's Little League game and got pulled over, and their kid was in the car and did fucking a year in jail and don't talk to their kid anymore. And they're working their way back to that, like that's a real fucking story. And I'm like, holy shit, wasn't a bad guy, wasn't a evil punchy drunk, in the street yelling, but he just fucking was quiet, and eventually it catches up. You can get away with things for a long time. I don't know if that's good or bad or what, but I was always an exploder. I would just go on like a bender and then be done for a while. It just like once it was on till it was gone. I was never good at pacing oneself. But
that was my problem when I drank was and I was the funny guy. So it was like everybody wanted to give me a drink, and so it was, and I didn't know when to say stop, and I probably wouldn't, because when we tend to, as social creatures, want to do what the other person is doing. So if someone else is having a drink, I should have a thing in my hand, and it becomes very circular, and I struggled with moderation.
In that regard. Well, and it's after a few shots, you don't give a fuck if they're given, there's no obligation anymore. I don't owe you shit, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I love not giving a shit. Not just like, oh, I don't have to take that, or I do. It was just like, I don't care how I feel. I don't care how you feel. I'm not going to babysit your emotions. We're just like, I love that just, I don't give a shit mode. Like just these invisible hours of just like not having to worry if my kids were okay, having to worry if I was being a piece of shit dad, or worry about someone's feelings, or hear about, you know what I mean? And I used to work in these big crazy salons and all these fucking problems and things and people and crosstalk, and you go in the back room and it was just like a fucking nightmare of emotions and drama and divorces and births and just like, oh fuck my life, you know what I mean? I had enough of that shit going on. I don't want to hear about your shit. But I mean, I do, but alcohol just turned all those my care buttons off, and it worked. It was like ibuprofen for the soul. So I would drink until I just annihilated any kind of sense of responsibility to people or the world that I had, and I could just be in this void, glass shield down for a while. But that's dangerous, and you hurt people, and more importantly, you're not there for them, like and then you got the next day where you do feel like a piece of shit physically, emotionally, and all that stuff too, and you're not there for them either. It's actually quite selfish, drinking is, even though you're not hurting anybody else. Like, I mean, obviously if you're abusive or something, but it's just a selfish way to deal with one's emotions, because you're not there for other people. People don't fucking care if you drink. They care about how you treat them. And if you're too far up your own ass and drunk or not drunk or hungover or drama, then they stop coming to you. Well, he's not going to help me move, or I'm not going to call him with my problems. He'll turn it into himself or make it worse, or you know what I mean? Like,
totally.
You don't want to be a person that people don't want to help. And then you got the other side where you help everybody too much so that you can avoid your own shit. Then you're like Mr. Helper and like Mr. Great Guy, and you're doing all these things that you don't want to do for people that don't deserve it or something. And there's that side of it too. And that's a whole other graduate program for addiction and whatever, is trying to get along with folks. But when it's working, I think I could see why people enjoy it, because it's you feel comfortable and all that, or at least not give a shit. You're not afraid.
That was definitely part of the allure for me, just as always a shy, wallflower, reclusive, quiet person for most of my life, is that drinking allowed me to not feel those things and not worry so much and to not care. And the two major components for me that finally drove me to cut out all drinking was the fact that if I'm falling down or someone is having to help me or assist me or make sure I'm okay, I am a burden to that person in that moment of I have, consumed enough of this thing to make myself someone else's else's problem. Someone else who might be on vacation or trying to have a good time or had a bad day or like doesn't want to have to deal with me being this way because I was irresponsible. I don't think that's fair. And so I didn't want to continue ever doing that. But the other component, at least for me, was, you know, I would drink to excess and get blackout drunk and not remember what I said or what I did. And that person, I don't know what that guy's going to say. And I don't like relinquishing that control to a part of myself that might say things I don't mean or say things in a way that I would rather not say them.
Yeah, you end up in fucking Lodi or something. I get it. I
downhill.
Yeah, I've had people call me and go like, "Are we cool?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're all, "Because you just, you said something last night," and I was like, "Whoa!" Like, wait, me? I mean, I have thought it, right? But I was blacked out, so I said it out loud. You know, it was always somebody close to me that something that they were doing that I didn't like morally agree with or something. I'd make a stab at it or something. You know, like. Someone like cheating on their wife, I'd make some kind of joke and like, you know, like, how's that working out? Or where's your little fucking whatever kind of thing, like some passive aggressive. And they're like, what? Like things you don't fucking say, you know?
Yeah, totally.
You know, like your friend's being a piece of shit, like you're fucking let them be a piece of shit. That they're going to suffer those consequences with or without your judgment. Whatever happens in those situations, that is their fucking business and not mine to pass a judgment on, but being blacked out, you know, I don't know. Those are the times I've had people come back to me to say that. And then there's probably countless times it was just random strangers. I have no idea. And that is scary. That's really, I didn't like that. I didn't like that being fucked up like in that zone. I mean, I would do like coke too. So like if I was blacked out, I mean, it wasn't constant. It wasn't every single time, but there were nights that because you can drink longer and stuff. So I would be like blacked out, but with it, my mouth and my mind are still on, but my brain and like my reasoning, I have no fucking idea what I said to anybody, but I was saying shit. I was out and about and I'm like rattling off whatever, dude. I'm surprised I didn't get beat up or locked up or I have no idea, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes it would be like, I had friends, like, they'd be like, you were either crazy and just like a comedian, like just sub-referencing like crazy shit, or you're emotional, like EJ, they'd call me EJ, like emotional Jake. Like I'd want to talk about something like heavy and like cry and I can't get into it, you know? And like one of my friends was like, dude, you were telling me to let someone love me like all night, you know, you were fucking, and he was going through a divorce. And I was like, he's like, yeah, I was just like, I don't want to talk about it. And I'd be like, yeah, that's your problem, man. You got to let someone love you. No wonder she left and this and that, like shit like that. Like it's fucking awful, dude. And from, you know, in my, I guess I was being helpful, like giving this guy a pep talk or something, but that's so rude and so invasive. And I was just like, man, so you're right. I guess you're right. That what you put on others, that's not fair.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. I never thought of it in that context, but I think that's why I stopped too. Not for me, but for them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I didn't want to affect. Yeah. Sorry, what if I had to show one of my? Oh, go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just was going to say really quick, like, yeah, you mentioned getting emotional, and that was you know, I have memories of that, of just like, ooh, this is bubbling out of me, and I am not going to be able to turn this off.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard to when you're fucked up because your inhibitions are down. You just kind of go loose, you know, and having that emotional control. I mean, that's kind of what happened. Like when I quit, I was having like, I had some like panic attack kind of thing. Like it just started and like it wouldn't stop until everything wore off and stuff. And then it was a weekend or two later, I tried again. I was like, oh, maybe it was a fluke. And as soon as I picked up, it started again. And my mind and body was like, every time you pick up, this is going to happen. It's going to be some internal explosion. Like I had two sides of myself and I couldn't be two different people. I'm not invisible. I want to be able to show my kids, if I put a GoPro on the bill of my hat and I walked around all weekend, I want to be able to show them that footage and them not be fucking horrified or something. I want to be the same person all the time. And if that requires sobriety to feel the same and not have to jump back and forth in that shame and that regret and be a burden, like you said, kind of thing, then yeah, fuck it, then I'll do that. And that's what I was afraid of. I wasn't afraid of never having fun again. I was afraid of reality 24/7. Here you go. Because I had zero coping skills. I didn't know what to do if the shit hit the fan.
Yes, 100%. I know. Yeah, I coping skills are a thing you have to fucking learn fast.
Yeah, like if you go through a breakup, I was just had a client right before I called you, and she's going through a breakup, and I was like, just get drunk and go to a bar and make out with a bunch of randos. That was my great hairdresser advice, and I was like laughing. I'm like, what? Wait, don't do that. Like I can't even do that. I don't even know what would happen if me and Heather broke up. I'm sober. Where the fuck am I gonna go? I'm 53 and sober. Like I can't. Don't do that. Just deal with your feelings. Okay. No, I was joking on it. And maybe, making out with some randos can be therapeutic. I know plenty of people that have gotten back on the horse after a while and, just little things or getting on Hinge or whatever. Like, it's fine. Like someone likes you, thinks you're cute. That helps build that back up. I get that. But, it's just one of those things. And I quickly thought about like at a breakup, I wouldn't have that as a solution to like party my way through that process. I'd have to fucking deal with it. And that's scary.
Yeah, agree with all of that. It's it is helpful to have people like take an interest and be like, oh, I'm not a piece of trash or whatever.
Yeah,
you might be feeling. But healing is comes in many forms for sure.
Well, yeah, it's nice to be liked, even if it doesn't mean it's the next person, or even if it's a bit of a rebound. Someone else likes you, it just reminds you that you're not undateable or something. I don't think that. I think that's fine. I mean, people,
we all feel wanted, right? Like we all.
Yeah, that feels nice. Yeah.
I don't want to keep you too long because I could sit and talk to you all fucking day, as I know how this interview would go. So I do want to go ahead and hit you with the last question of the show, which I always ask: what is something that you have been enjoying recently? And your answer can be anything: a book, a movie, a TV show. Just what's something you're jazzed about when you wake up?
Dude, this is gonna sound insane, but like I've been making I made this redwood slab like coffee table with like black pipe parts for like legs and stuff. I sand and use a marine layer for like a clear layer. And then I had to make like a TV console that matched, right? Because my mom's coming and I want my living room to look cool. But I've really enjoyed working with wood. And I'm not some crafty, like outdoorsy guy with a puffy Patagonia jacket who goes to Home Depot. I'm not. Okay. I grew up in the woods and I love wood, but it's sounding like I love working with wood. It just sounds so conceited, but it feels really, it's just easy. But I do because it's malleable and you can sand it and it changes. And now it was growing and now it's a fucking table. It's just cool. And to look at it, you get to see it every day. You made this thing and you put your coffee on it and it looks cool. And it's like having a art show every day. You get to see some of your work. And I love producing things with my hand and seeing it. Like I love doing flyers and graphic design and music and showing that. And like, so I get to see these pieces of wood and the grain and like the TV console I did, it was called Living Edge, and it has this kind of rough edge, and I kind of sanded it down, but you can see all the cuts and like the way the wood was split up and stuff. And it's just, I don't know, I've been really enjoying some of that. So maybe someday I'll just have a barn and just make wood stuff and do random festivals or something. I don't know.
No, I think that's cool because I encourage people to do such things, right? Like I think that people should take the time to make something for yourself. I've been to a couple of those, like not a paint and sip, but like you pick some pottery off the wall or like some clay, like a coffee mug. And, I've gone and, went on a date with my lady friend and like, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to paint a mug and I'm going to think about what Brian would want and I'm going to make it. And then every day when I go to make my coffee, like I get to have this mug that I made for myself.
That's cool.
Maybe I'm not the most artistically talented person, but I sat and crafted it with myself in mind.
But that's all interpretive. Like that's like, I can't imagine Picasso was like, damn, Picasso, that shit looks great. You know what I mean? He was like, this sucks, and then went and cut his fucking ear off. No, that was Van Gogh. But you know what I mean? Like no artist thinks their shit fucking slaps, it's just like, but that is cool though. I like that. I was like, who the fuck goes and does those things? Like how weird would that be? But you get to keep it. I thought you were just painting like some ladies teaching you how to paint. Oh, you get to paint your own fucking mug. Like, that's fucking sick.
Yeah, it was great. We both come back 2 weeks later and here it is, all done. And like we got to sit and have our coffee together in the morning, and like she drinks out of her mug and I drink out of mine, and like hers was excellent, like way fucking better than mine. But there's back to sort of your answer and your point of like, I just think there's such fun and value in just making something for yourself, and
absolutely
feeling that accomplishment of like, I took parts from nothing and have created a something from them.
Yeah, no, that's great, dude. I love that. I'm gonna take my wife. She's like, we never do anything. I'm gonna take her to one of those things. We're gonna make some mugs. Dude, that's cool.
It's a fun date, dinner, and then go sit and paint some shit.
I feel so silly because like I never even considered you get to keep what you make. I've seen them. Like you go paint, and you drink wine or whatever. I get that. Like, I'm like, why the fuck would anybody do that? I never even considered you get to bring whatever you made home with you or whatever. I'm just like, it just sits there in a box. I didn't even think about that. I was just thinking about the actual class.
Oh yeah.
And how I wouldn't want to sit there with a bunch of strangers and like learn how to paint or something. Like that just sounds weird to me. But if you get to keep it and you get to see everybody's at the end, like, it reminds me of this one time, and I'll stop after this. I swear, me and my kids, we wanted to paint, and so I thought it'd be cool to all paint the same thing. And at the time they were into wrestling, so we all painted Hulk Hogan, and I didn't tell them what a fucking weird guy that was. Anyway, but we all did it, and it was awesome, and I still have it. It's like a 4-up of all these Hulk Hogans. It was like me and my 2 kids, and theirs was like painted really, really small, and then Hunter's was like this sort of abstract with a giant head. I don't know, it's just super cool. I still have it. It's it might turn out whatever, but like it was just a cool exercise to all paint the same thing. It was really cool.
Yeah, you definitely look it up. It's like a paint your own pottery kind of a thing, and
yeah,
it was a blast. I mean, they have like plates and all kinds of the shit you can pick, but yeah, like coffee mugs. I just was like, oh, this is gonna be cool, and it's rad. I like creating stuff. I always answer the question myself. Shit, what is something I've been enjoying? I had a wonderful Halloween, and it's nice to have a Halloween or a holiday in your life that is marked in your memory for how good it was, rather than, because I mean, as you probably have experienced, as along with myself and most people, right, of like, ooh, this is the worst, this whatever holiday this is, right? Like, we've all had plenty of shitty holidays that were ruined for some reason or another, but to have a really good one and to hear words that you need to hear at a time when you need to hear them. Sometimes those sort of magical divine moments are just worth stopping and appreciating and trying to suck in and be glad they happened.
That's great, dude.
Yeah, not to get too.
I love that. Yeah,
it was fun. Like me and my lady friend dressed up as Chucky and Tiffany from Bride of Chucky, and
rad. Yeah. My wife's best friend was Chucky too.
Nice.
And she's funny because my wife's 46, 45. I don't know. She's in her 40s, and her friend, and so they went out, but they didn't dress like slutty or whatever. And they were the first year they've gone out as grown-ups. Like, and her friend Carla was like, "It's so weird not being dressed all." For Halloween, like we walked in the bar and we were like, I looked like Chucky, like it wasn't like super like hot Chucky or whatever, and it was just funny. I was laughing. I'm like, did you feel like you should have? She's like, kinda, but then I was like, oh my god, I'm like, whatever, dude, fuck it. That's their game. They're out there and they're 25 or whatever, When I was that age, and I don't know, it was just kind of funny though. That made me think of that, and I was like, how would you be a hot Chucky?
And I told Sadie, I was like, next year I get to wear this sexy costume and you get to wear the like overgrown toddler outfit. So we were talking about like, we'll just gender swap it, and I'll just go as Tiffany and she'll go as Chucky.
There you go.
I'll just dress all slutty.
It's funny for guys because they're like, you can't dress provocatively because we're basically pretty much down. We don't have to like hint at it or it's like not, you look at that guy, he's just asking for it, wearing that fucking those blue shorts, like it's just like, of course he's asking for it, or whatever. But I think we're best when we're relaxed and we're confident and we're doing our thing, and we're there for the people that love us. I think that's the most attractive thing, and we have ambition and drive, and
absolutely. And Yeah, and plus being over 40 and a white guy, like, ooh, nobody wants to see these thighs. They've got hair on.
No.
Nobody to fucking see that.
They're not supposed to see the sun. I was talking about that the other day because short shorts are kind of back for men, and like I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
No.
I won't buy shorts or wear them if they're above the knee. Gross. Get them out of here.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no one wants to see male, over 40 male, white thigh. Like, it's gross. Or even any race. I don't want to see any racial, that's great.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, those thighs are, it just depends. But women and men under 40 probably, definitely, let's just leave it there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Before I say something and get canceled.
All right, that is it. Thank you so much for your time and for making this work.
Of course, man, that was rad. Thank you.
I will let you know when this goes out, and I'll hit you up for like a promo photo for the cover. Void Signal intro, courtesy of Processor. Visit processor2.bandcamp.com for more Processor, and intro remix for this episode by Mortal Realm. Visit mortalrealm.bandcamp.com for more Mortal Realm, or search Processor or Mortal Realm anywhere you get music. Visit voidsignal.net to help support the creation of more ad-free Void Signal.